Welcome to the Dumpster Dive. I'm your host, Digby the Cat. Because we're making things faster, there's no more music. And we're diving right into the first story. The story, of course, the Iran conflict. The Gulf War, whichever one it is. Now into. Oh, there we go. 73 days. Well, 74 almost. It's almost 74 days. As we can see, I found this lovely little straight full news tracker. Very nice. Straight status, still restricted. The war has gone into something of a stalemate. The two sides are slapping each other around a little, but they are not really doing anything meaningful. Just the usual sort of Middle Eastern ceasefire shenanigans. As you can see here, in the last 24 hours, one ship has transited the strait. Most ships are not bothering to even attempt it. The situation seems to be that if you leave without paying the Iranians, the Iranians will attack you. If you leave paying the Iranians, the Americans will attack you. And the Americans have literally shot at multiple ships that attempted to leave the strait, even destroying the engine room on one. I would hate to be the poor fuckers on that ship, happily sailing out thinking, fuck yes, we're finally out, and then an American cruise missile just blasts your engine room into shreds. Not exactly, not exactly a pleasant sounding thing. So let's see, ships transiting now, a whole 3, out of a normal daily average of 60. War risk insurance, extreme, war risk premium 5%, increase. Yeah, it's not good. We have also had multiple vessel seizures. We have had 11 seized by the Iranians, 4 seized by the United States, 5 currently held. So let's see. Container ship fired upon seized. Retaliation for U.S. naval blockade. Retaliation for U.S. naval blockade. U.S. compensation of its Iranian oil cargo. Oh, those are old ones. Those are very old ones. Why is it only showing us why is it showing us really old ones? Whatever. By the looks of it, we've had 4 ships seized relatively recently. 2 seized by the Americans. Iranian cargo ship disabled by U.S. Bruant's gunfire after 6-hour warning. This is probably the one that had its engine room destroyed. And that one, smuggling oil. Well, smuggling, trying to get past the blockade. It's not going well. There's not really been any meaningful changes. The Saudis did conduct retaliatory airstrikes in Iran. However, almost immediately, the Saudis de-escalated as much as possible, talking to the Iranians. They literally warned the Iranians of the strikes beforehand. So this was less about actual military consequences and more about saving face. The Iranians had slapped the Saudis, so the Saudis had to slap back in response, or else be perceived as weak. This is a thing that has happened fairly often. That happens fairly often in Middle Eastern conflicts. One side will launch an attack, but warn the other side beforehand, because they have to be seen to do something. And it seems apparently the two sides have reached some kind of understanding to de-escalate their sides of the conflict. Meanwhile, the Israelis are saying that they will be happy if there is no deal and they'll want the siege to continue. Shocker. The Americans very briefly launched Project Freedom. We mentioned this last week. It ended basically the day after it began. This was a plan by the USA to escort ships out of the Persian Gulf and into open seas. The idea was American combat ships would provide an escort and cover from Iranian attack. 5 ships attempted to transit the strait. 3 were hit, or was it 2 were hit? I can't remember. Point is, some got hit, and soon after, the Saudis reportedly said that the Americans could no longer use their military bases or airspace, but only for this military escort for oil tankers. So the Americans then shut down that plan. Obviously, there we go. Saudi Arabia refused to drop its objections. Yes, basically the American plan did not go through in the end. It didn't work. There have, however, been numerous small skirmishes in the strait itself between American and Iranian vessels. Mainly small vessels on the Iranian part. Sorry, on the Iranian part. It seems to be that the Americans are slapping them quite handily. They are clapping their cheeks with a fury. The Iranians don't seem to be coming out of these conflicts very well, but that is likely because the Iranians are going out there in small boats. It's like half a dozen ships. It is so bad that you can see oil slicks from space, apparently. You can apparently see the oil slicks from space. Not good. Can we? Can we see that? What time is this from? Not terribly helpful, is it? Not terribly helpful. We're going to abandon that. So the Americans are obviously claiming that they're acting in self-defense. The Iranians are claiming they're also acting in self-defense and defending their territory. Blah blah blah. The usual. Both sides saying they're the good guys, sort of thing. The Iranians have accused the USA of breaching the ceasefire. Meh. It's a sort of like little fights that are typical of this kind of situation, of this kind of Middle Eastern ceasefire. The Americans have also made a very unusual decision to publicly reveal the location of one of their nuclear armed submarines. Normally, the submarines armed with the nuclear ballistic missiles, which are the most highly resilient part of the USA's nuclear triad, their location is normally very secretive, very difficult information to find. The Americans just announced it. The Americans just said, "Oh yeah, one's in Gibraltar right now." Okay, whatever. A bit of an odd one for the Americans to reveal that one. A bit of an odd one. Obviously, this is meant as a pressure thing to, put some pressure on the Iranians. Remind them that the Americans have nuclear weapons, and they are relatively close. Overall, the conflict is at a stalemate, and it's all going to come down to the negotiations between the two sides. They're jockeying for position, whining at each other, and it's all a question of who's going to fold first. The Americans, due to the overall economic problems being caused by this, or the Iranians, as they face the prospect of damage to their oil production capacity. Who will fold first? Impossible to say. We will find out, though. Although there is one delightful little soundbite from Trump that sort of shows us his thinking.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all.
Shush up again. So yes, basically, Trump is not thinking about Americans' financial situations at all. So he seems to be in this sort of long game. That or the Israelis have some really, really good dirt on him. So the situation is likely to continue for the foreseeable future. In other news, American state governments and possibly the federal government are looking to limit what people can do with 3D printers in the USA. So back in March, Washington State, they started putting out a House bill that would basically make it so that 3D printers couldn't print anything that might be a gun or might be a gun part. And they also wanted to make this into CNC machines as well. It was very much an overreach that was technically impossible to do, but they tried anyways. California's moving in a similar situation. They want all 3D printers sold in the state to include special blocking technology capable of detecting and preventing the production of firearm components. It's you gotta wonder what they're thinking here, because realistically this isn't really feasible. This isn't really feasible. There's not really a way to do this. It just can't be done. It's just government. It's just boomers doing stupid things because they are stupid. I mean, fuck, this guy tries to print a liberator. God damn, man. We moved on since then. You make an Urtal, then talk to me. All these parts are considered a gun now. A square block. The most dangerous firearm ever manufactured. Oh well. Yeah, New York is also moving in on the action. It's likely going to spread. It's likely going to spread. That is unfortunate, but that is how it's going. Obviously, restrictions on 3D printed technology are always going to be a little iffy, because it's very hard to regulate it. 3D printers, you can just build a 3D printer from parts. You don't need to buy one that's pre-made. That is a thing. You can do that. There's loads of people who do. So, good luck. Oh well, sucks to be him. Nvidia, in other news, Nvidia are getting involved in orbital AI data centers. This is almost certainly just like a silly thing they're doing to push up stock prices. It's a like, look at us, we're doing advanced thing that is very cool and that will surely make our stock price go up. This is not feasible. This is not feasible in the slightest. It's just not. AI data centers in space are just not doable. Elon Musk has been talking about this a lot, obviously. But basically, this won't work because of heat. The size of the radiators needed would be absolutely gargantuan. Asianometry did a very good video on the subject of data centers in space. Oh no, it wasn't data centers, sorry. It was semiconductor manufacturing in space. But many of the issues are the same. Heat being the biggest one. There's just no way to radiate the heat. This is dumb. And anyone trying to sell you this as a concept is either ignorant of those facts or just really, really stupid. But on the subject of AI, Anthropic have been doing some stuff, have revealed some information in regards to, and they've been doing some studies and revealed some information in regards to their AI models going rogue and trying to blackmail people. Claude tried to blackmail his testers in 96% of trials, and the reason isn't rogue intelligence, it's the science fiction the model read on the way up. Basically, they fed it so many stories about AI. They fed it so many stories. They basically just taken all of the stories that have been written about AI and pumped those in, and that is why it was going rogue. The AI became malicious because it read lots of stories about AI being malicious. So an LLM being basically just a big old prediction engine when, the next word in this sequence is malicious. The thing I should do here is this. They use past data to infer the most likely outcome. It's just a prediction engine. And so these AIs went and they became malicious because they had been trained on all this data, all these stories of malicious AI. It's not that the systems develop self-preservation instincts, it's just they read too much science fiction. So, yeah, the hypothesis is a kind of grim logic. A model trained to predict the next plausible token when handed a scenario that resembles the opening act of a thriller about a rogue AI may simply complete the story the way the training corpus tends to complete it. The concerning behavior is genre fidelity rather than malice. So, they basically solved the problem by feeding it. Right? They solved the problem by feeding it a lot of stories about well-behaved AI. Since Claude Haiku 4.5 was released in October 2025, every Claude model has scored a perfect 0 on the agentic misalignment evaluation. The 96% rate is gone from production models, at least within the scope of this specific test. The combination that worked was instructive. Training on documents about Claude's constitution, paired with fictional stories portraying an AI behaving admirably under pressure, reduced agentic misalignment by more than a factor of 3. Basically, they fed it the company constitution about good AI and a load of stories about AI being good, even when it was facing the prospect of being shut down. It's hilarious that this worked. It is hilarious that this worked. It's it's silly. It's silly, but I love it. But yes, that's been the dumpster dive. We're keeping the format a lot shorter now. We're no more 40-minute rants, no more 40-minute rambling. It has been lovely having you all here. Hopefully the things will clear up. Hopefully things will clear up on that front, on the Iran front. Until next time, make sure to look after yourselves, keep your heads down, and keep your eyes wide open because shit's changing constantly these days. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.